Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. These are the new makeup releases for April. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to be chatting about over 50 newly announced makeup releases and like makeup news bits. I do this video once a month and I select what things I want to talk about, and then we're going to go over, will I buy these things? Are these interesting releases? How do I feel about these things? Is there anything here that I would want to potentially put onto the wish list and get myself? And if you saw yesterday's video, I already told you then that I have pretty much bought my entire makeup wish list by now. There are still a couple of products making its way to me, so you will be seeing my like final makeup-y bits that I bought at the start of May. But unless something really exciting is being released, I don't really see myself shopping for a lot of makeup in the next couple of months. I will be going to London at the end of the month for just a day, and my main aim is to go book shopping, but if I find makeup stores along the way, which I probably will, I will check them out. But because there isn't actually anything on the wish list, I don't really know how much I will be buying. So it's going to be very sort of dependent on what I find in those stores. But these are all the new makeup releases that have been announced and all of my thoughts about it. Let me know in a comment down below how you feel about some of these things. I don't think there is a lot. There's like 2 palettes that intrigue me, but I'm not entirely sure whether it's going to add anything to my makeup collection, so that's why I'm still holding off on them. But we'll get to those when we get to those. First things first, I don't think I mentioned this one in my previous one yet. Sometimes like I will film this video and then in the days between me posting and me filming the video, some things are announced. But the coffee palette from Clarity Cosmetics is something that dropped on MONOLITH in March. I don't have any news whether this will be restocked, but MONOLITH has announced their newest drop for April, so that's going to be on the 13th. The 13th of April is going to be their next launch. Usually they launch a product at 10:30 Central European time, so there's going to be a whole bunch of new products going to go live on that website. If this is still in stock, you can already buy this through MONOLITH, and of course it has been for sale through the brand itself. So if you're in the US, that may be a bit easier, but if you're like me and you're in the EU, then MONOLITH is my one-stop shop when it comes to all things indie makeup by now. If it's not listed on there, I have to be very honest with you guys. I'm not even like 100% aware of some of the newer brands that aren't listed on MONOLITH by now. So it's just they make it so easy for me to shop there. But yeah, this looks really pretty. The coffee palette, it has a lot of browns in, some warmer tones. It has some beautiful shimmers. I tried some Clarity Cosmetics last year myself for the first time. They were a brand that had been on my list for some years now, and because they were stocked on MONOLITH, it made it easier for me to purchase. And I've just found that it's not my favorite formula. It's, how should I describe it? I tried the Bloom and the Deadly Roses, kept the Deadly Roses but decluttered the In Bloom. The Bloom palette is really beautiful, but the undertones of those shades are really not for me. I think it's going to be beautiful on people with deep skin, but for me it just wasn't quite right. So that's why color story wise, I'm like, this is probably not aimed at my skin tone either. Which, you know, makes sense. Not every piece of makeup out there is going to be right for me, and that's perfectly fine. I don't take any issue with that. But my main issue with the brand was the quality of the shimmers. They felt really strange picking them up with a brush. It was almost like the texture of wet sand, you know, when you play with sand at the beach and you kind of like, you're able to like press things into the sand. It really felt like that, and it was very difficult to pick up. I don't think Clarity Cosmetics is the kind of brand that caters to beginners in makeup either. It's incredibly pigmented makeup, and the shimmers especially were a little bit strange. I've kept one of them because I thought the color story was a bit more unique in my makeup collection, but the other one, in terms of all the blue, green, purple palettes I already owned, and I sort of feel similarly about this. I have plenty of brown tone palettes with some warmer tones and interesting shimmers, and if I don't have this exact palette, there's plenty in my makeup collection that I can use to create something like it for sure. Then I think there are some new shades out in the Fenty powder blush. And this is one of those products that was still on my wish list, actually. The Fenty powder blush was something I still wanted to try. These things took ages to drop in Europe, but we did immediately get the shade extension, so that was lovely. So I did place an order for one of these blushes to try it out in the next couple of weeks or so. Then there's really exciting news because Violette FR, so that French makeup brand that all the cool girls are wearing, has dropped at Sephora in the US, which is making it a lot easier to purchase because I tried seeking out the brand when I was in France and they're only stocked at a select few places even there. I decided when I was able to finally see the products in the store, they didn't really seem to go with my kind of vibe, so I held off of buying it, even though I see people use those lipsticks and I still want one really badly. It's just one of those things, like, it's the same store I went to. It's called Oh My Cream. They also have some stores in London and then also in Paris. And they also stock the entire RMS Beauty line. So I was finally able to swatch the powder blushes from RMS Beauty that were on my wish list for such a long time. But none of the shades really appealed to me, and I felt the same way about this range. It's really, really beautiful. The products look and feel stunning, but the shades are so bog standard that I don't really feel I need to spend this much money on a new product that looks exactly like something I already have just to try the brand. I'm just a bit over that. So that's why I held off of buying this brand in particular, but I think there are going to be people who are very pleased with the fact that Sephora now sells this French makeup brand. Then Merit has some new lip products. Merit is a brand I've not been able to shop at all. They are only shipping to the US and the UK. They do not ship to the EU or maybe a select few countries, but not the Netherlands, so I have not been able to try them. They're again like that cool girl aesthetic, this like no makeup sort of thing that I usually really enjoy. So Merit as a brand, I would still like to be able to like get my hands on at some point, but unless I travel to the US, I will not be able to buy this this brand, unfortunately. So that's very unfortunate. These are some new lip products that they've come out with, and they look incredibly stunning. So yeah, Merit is just one that's really difficult for me to get. Then I have a new fragrance from Maison Margiela. This is the Never Ending Summer, and it is a citrus-based fragrance where it says that it has some orange, spritz accords, and vetiver. I enjoy a bit of fragrance, and Maison Margiela is one of my favorites. I have several of their fragrances, and there's a few of those that are on my wish list, because even though I don't have much makeup on my wish list, ever since posting my fragrance collection earlier this year, and some of you had some lovely suggestions, so I've been seeking out some things, and I've made a little wish list for myself of like fragrances I would like to get in the course of the year. So maybe I'm going to be buying some of those recommendations that you told me about, because I think there were some lovely suggestions in there. But yeah, replica fragrances are some of my favorites. I have a bunch of them. I have a big one of, I think it's Whispers in the Library. That's like my big bottle. And then I have a smaller, like the small bottle, the 30 milliliter size of the Matcha Meditation. And I have a 30 milliliter size of the Under the Stars. And then I have some of the travel sizes for By the Fireplace and Jazz Club and those kind of things. So I really feel like I'm such a like seasonal fragrance wearer. Like there are things I gravitate towards in terms of fragrance in different seasons. And I feel like Replica as a range just caters to that so well. So I'm not entirely sure whether I love citrus though on myself. I'm not a citrusy kind of girl. But if you do like citrus scents, then this may be worth checking out. Nomad has a new palette out, the Fairy Tale Europe palette, and this is one where it's like, that's a pretty random color story. We get some neutrals across the bottom, then we have some pinks, some yellows, some like blues, greens, some purpley tones, and this like peachy red. I like the concept of this. I feel like especially the artwork that this comes with nicely reflects the colors that are inside. I always appreciate it when brands do that. But to be quite fair, I don't think that this is necessarily for me. I have other brightly colored palettes from the brand that I do really enjoy, and I did purchase their previous their previous release, so the one they did over the winter time, the après ski, that was still like tickling my brain. And that's sort of how I go about these videos when I do them. Very rarely will I instantly decide like, this is what I want to buy it now. It rarely happens. Very often I will like write it down in a little Word document on my computer, and then if like 2-3 months down the line I'm still thinking about that product, then I start budgeting for it, and then I decide to bite the bullet. You know what I mean? So that après-ski palette is still making its way to me. So that's another thing. Nomad as a brand doesn't, it's not available through Monolith, the web shop I mentioned earlier, but their official website does ship from within a EU distribution center if you are based in the EU. So you are no longer hit with additional shipping and handling fees. It's just whatever you pay for on the website, that's what you pay for. So that's something that I've really appreciated with Nomad, is that they made the effort of making a fulfillment center. I think they're based in Ireland. So if you're in mainland Europe, it's still going to take like 4 to 6 weeks for the products to get to you. Like it's still going to take a while because of that, but it does make it a little bit like time and money efficient to shop through them than they did a couple of years ago. So there's that. This one isn't for me, but Nomad as a brand, I really appreciate. They have a really nice, easy to work with formula, I find, and they're very consistent across the different palettes I've tried. So for me, Nomad is a good one. It's just that I don't need every single color story from them. And there was a limited edition collection from Catrice. This is a little reel they did. It was in collaboration with Wonder Woman, which seems a little random for me. Like, I no longer understand where all of the Essence and Catrice collabs are coming from. It feels so incredibly random. But yeah, this looks okay. It just looks like every single limited edition collection they've also done with Disney in the past. So I'm not overly wowed with this. None of these products speak to me. And I stopped buying Essence and Catrice limited edition collections a couple of years ago, especially because I was just buying them, reviewing them for the channel. They did really well. Like, if I want to like get a lot of views, I should buy like these limited edition collections from Essence and Catrice. I know that that will work. It's just that every single time I would come to the moment where I declutter my makeup collection, it would always be an instant declutter for me. There were hardly ever products in these limited edition ranges that I wanted to keep with my makeup collection long term. So that's why I've just become a lot pickier when it comes to these limited edition collections. If I'm truly really super excited about it, or if I happen to be in my local Kruidvat and I see the limited edition collection and I have a chance to like look at the actual product, and then I'm like, ooh yeah, I might pick up a product or two, but I've decided to no longer review them as such because it just felt very wasteful. It was just something I was buying for the channel, and so much of it I just wasn't interested in. And then I'm also not like, I got to the point where I could no longer be excited for these limited edition releases. Like, I would try these products and I already knew that they were subpar to what these brands usually release in their regular ranges. Like, the regular ranges I feel are far better than their limited edition stuff is. So then why commit to that bit, right? There is a new lip product out from the Pleasing brand that Harry Styles actually launched. So they started off with nail polishes a few years ago, and now there is a multi-use balm. There's 3 shades. This is okay. They're $25 each, though. I don't know if this is easily available in the EU where I'm located. So this is not something that really appeals to me and that I feel I need to run and get. But if you love Harry Styles and you want to support his makeup brand, then you can. There's a new non-sticky gloss from MAC. It's in 11 different shades. MAC lip products are really having a moment. Not sure I need a lip gloss from them anytime soon. I'm still trying to use up my Tower 28 ones. And unless I use those 2 up, I don't think I'm going to be in the market for a new lip gloss. I'm about halfway through my pistachio shade and about like a quarter of the way in Sesame. I think I'll run out of pistachio a lot quicker than I do Sesame, but it is my aim to use up to those 2 glosses before the end of the year. So they are in my Shop My Stash every single time. Maybe at some point I will pick up one of these MAC glosses, but none of the shades they have in this range truly appealed to me and made me go like, I need to run out and get this. I don't. There is a new summer collection from Dior. And Dior is a brand, whereas like I was going through my makeup memory box with you guys on Thursday. I've kept a lot of my old makeup over the years that either hold a special memory to me or that has just incredibly beautiful packaging. I just have this big box in my wardrobe, and I took you through what's in there now that I've decluttered my makeup collection again. And so many of these beautiful products are from Dior. It's a brand I have a lot of history with. They were one of the first makeup brands I started buying from, in fact, when I started getting into makeup. And these palettes look absolutely gorgeous. They are too gorgeous to use almost. They are also quite warm toned, so not entirely for me. But as I was going through that box and I was editing that video, it made me realize how much I used to love Dior lip products. So maybe in 2024 or 2025, we're already in a different year, Micah, I may want to see like what Dior has to offer in terms of lips, just to see if they have like a gloss or a lipstick that I feel passionate enough about to spend this much money on. Because Dior is, of course, not cheap. But I got a YSL lipstick last year, and I really enjoy that one. So, and that's another brand that I used to like buy lipsticks from when I first got into makeup, which, again, some of those I still have. So maybe Dior could be next. And then, of course, the thing that I think had a lot of people talking was the new Pat McGrath Mothership palette. It took years for us to get a new Mothership. The Petal Morphosis. It's the Mothership number 12, and a lot of people are going gaga for it because it has those two green shades in. I've already seen a lot of people like covering up the two green shades, and that you're still essentially getting a peachy pink palette with a pop of purple and gold, which is sort of Pat McGrath's spiel by now. Apparently there's also makeup news that she has been like Pat McGrath herself is no longer with Pat McGrath, the brand, but she's now the creative director of a different makeup line, and that therefore also formulas are going to be changing within the Pat McGrath range, because apparently like the patent is with her and not with the brand itself. Like, it's a whole thing. There's a whole discussion going on. Is this beautiful? Yes. Does this look like every single Pat McGrath palette I already own? Also yes. I've got plenty of other greens in my makeup collection, especially in my singles, that can do what these two greens can do. So I'm just thinking if I take my utopian dream and I add some greens into that, I can create this look. I don't need this in my life. So that's why I will be passing up on the Mothership 12. A contour stick from ABH. It still says here from that it's coming soon, and that was posted a couple of weeks ago. I don't need another contour stick. I don't contour. I don't like the way contouring looks on my face. I've got a very long, narrow face. The only part I really sort of try to cover up a little bit is my forehead, because this takes up about like 2/3 of my face sometimes, I feel. If my hair is down, it's not that big of a deal, but especially when my hair is up like this, I feel I just have a massive forehead, so I always just use a bit of bronzer just to deepen up my hairline just a touch. And I've just used my Soap & Glory one today. I feel fine using a bit of bronzer to act as a bit of sculpting, but I do not try to chase adding any sort of shadow, because shadows make your face look even narrower, and that's just not my aim. Like, if anything, I want my face to look fuller, and I feel like contouring is not the technique to achieve that look. I've tried to contouring in the past. I didn't feel my best doing it, so I don't need a dedicated contour product. Plus, you guys know this about me, because of my fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, most contour products work like a bronzer on me anyway, because even though a brand says something is a contour, it still works as being far too warm toned for me to act as a contour. And that's probably why I have given up on contours as well, because I haven't found anything that is cool toned enough on my skin that it can even act as a contour. And I don't like looking at these shades. I don't think it's going to act as a contour on my complexion. There is a new lipstick. This is from Celine, I think. Yes, it's from the Celine Beauty range that has dropped this year. The Le Rouge lipstick. Beautiful, but I look at the shade range and I'm like, really? Like, all these shades look the same. So I don't think I need this particularly in my life. Also, these are $75 each. That's a lot for lipstick. I thought my like YSL and Lisa Eldridge things were expensive, but this truly takes the cake, so we'll be passing up on that. Then we're getting a release that made me go like, yeah, I like the look of it. It's by Adept. It's the Emo palette, or Emo Adept. I think that's what it's called. Does this look absolutely beautiful? Like, yes, it does. Like, you cannot fault Adept for how beautiful their palettes look. I've tried a couple of their palettes in the past. I've now decluttered most of them. I kept one of them around just to still have the brand in my collection, but one of the palettes I owned from them has already expired. It no longer smells the same from when I first bought it, so that can already be chucked. And that palette is less than 2 years old. And we all know, like, good makeup can actually last years if you take care of it. So I don't really trust Adept enough. And they're also not cheap. This is a $72 palette. Once it gets to Monolith and it drops on there, it's probably going to retail for around 80 euros on there, I think. It's always marked up a little bit to account for the shipping and handling fees that they need to pay for. So yeah, this I think is already on the Monolith website, or did it drop afterwards? It may have dropped after the drop that happened on Monolith in March. So if that's the case, then it's coming in April. It's beautiful. The two purples and that sort of pastely green it has truly take my heart. But with Adept, I really struggle putting looks together because they are so shimmer heavy, and a lot of the shimmers they do are multi-chromes, and I have just found that with the amount of lid space I have, combining multi-chromes on my lid is just not feasible as a makeup technique. I need to just commit to like one multi-chrome to really give it its moment to shine. And then if I have 15 shades that essentially do the same thing on my lids, it's going to take me ages to try out the palette, and I'm never going to be left with the makeup look I want it to be. So that's why the Adept I'm going to be passing up on. Urban Decay has a new liquid eyeshadow formula. This looks cool. There is this like duochromatic sort of shade in there as well. And I think this is good for the line. There is a beautiful taupey shimmer called Silver Spooning. There's even some eyeshadow sticks here. And I think this is a beautiful product for the line. So Urban Decay as a brand is no longer sold over here. I can still find it online though. So I could potentially buy this, but I do feel that here in Europe, we're very much behind on releases when it comes to Urban Decay. So this is, again, just difficult for me to get. But yeah, I do feel like Urban Decay is getting a bit more love, but it is one of those brands where I feel like very up in the air about it. Like, how long will they last? Because yes, there are some products that people rave about, like the Space Cowboy Moon Dust shadows. I think we have some more Moon Dust stuff coming up in a second. That's something that Urban Decay is really trying to like sell to people. And it's the thing that a lot of people are talking about, but not the rest of the range. And I haven't heard a lot of people talking about these liquid shadows. And they came out already at the end of March. And I haven't really seen anybody talking about it, so not too sure. Westman Atelier is a brand that's now released some duo face products. So it seems to be like a blush and a bronzer. Is that what it's supposed to be? Yeah, so it's blush duos and sculpting powder duos. So it's like a different mix of things. Looks pretty. I had a look at the brand when I was in France where they sell it at Sephora. At the big Sephora at the Champs-Elysees, they do stock the entire range. And I was finally able to see this brand in store and like look at some of the products they have. And for how expensive it is, I wasn't too impressed with the quality, I have to say. So that's why I've been passing up on Westman Atelier. Does this look pretty? Yes. Do I use products like this? Absolutely not. So this is a pass. ColourPop is coming up with its Toy Story collab. Did we need it? Possibly not. There's going to be a palette of some sorts, and it already launched on the 20th of March. So beautiful, yes. It makes sense for ColourPop to do a collab like this, but it's not something I need in my life. Then one of the two palettes that really has me going like, ooh, I like you, and is this palette from Gloss Gods. It's called the Northern Lights. Or Dancing Lights, or some Dancing Lights collection, inspired by the Northern Lights, which makes a lot of sense. Gloss Gods is a Swedish indie brand. I have some of their palettes. I really enjoy them. It is like cheaper cardboard packaging, but the shades inside it are really, really beautiful. And for how expensive it is, I feel they deliver the kind of quality that you get from indie brands that are far more expensive than they are. So for me, it makes a lot of sense. The palette retails for around 55 euros, which is a little bit more than their standard price, but that's also because this is a 15 pan eyeshadow palette rather than a 12 pan. So it is a bigger palette, and that's actually the thing that's throwing me off, because I'm like, then it doesn't go with the rest of my collection. You know what I mean? Like, I have all the other palettes in the 12 pan format, and this is 15 pan, so maybe that's a bit of a finicky reason for not wanting to buy this. It does have really, really beautiful like blues, greens, and purples in, some interesting shimmers. It has shifty shades in. It has everything. It's very spring-like. The reason why I haven't bought it yet, because this dropped again about a week ago now. I had this like, I didn't set my alarm to like try and buy it, but for a moment I was like, you know what, when this drops, I'm gonna get it as one of my purchases. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on it. This is the kind of thing what I meant when I say like I'll put something on my wish list, and then if I think about it still 2 to 3 months later down the line, then I might still pick it up. As far as I can tell, this isn't limited edition collection, so they will restock this at some point. Glossgots is usually pretty good at that. Like, it can take a while for things to come back in stock. I think I had that as well with the Color of Rain that they did like last year or the year before. Like, they dropped it and then it took like 2 to 3 months before you could buy it again. But if I do decide that I still want this palette in my life, I know I will be able to. So this is beautiful. I think it is a stunning, bright, colorful, really insanely good palette. At this point though, I've just decluttered my makeup collection and I want to be very careful with what I'm bringing in. And I do think this is unique enough to go into my makeup collection, but it is quite bright and colorful, and I'm not entirely sure if that's the purchase I want to bring into my collection at the minute. So this is one I'm going to be holding off on for now. It is on the wish list, but whether I will be buying it, time will tell. If I still think about this palette by the end of May or like early July when it's my birthday, I might buy this as like a little birthday present for myself, but I'm in no rush to get this. Maybelline has a new lip glaze lip balm. I believe these came out in Europe first, so that is always lovely, because I have already seen some creators talking about these. You know, they are doing this whole lifter gloss sort of spin-off thing, and I was like the only person on the planet who didn't love the lifter glosses. So these also, I'm like, do I really need this? It's essentially like a colored lip balm. And while that's beautiful, I don't need it from Maybelline, because I already have several, some of them by K-beauty brands or by Essence and Catrice, that I absolutely adore, that I don't feel I need this in my life. So passing up on this. So Gimme Glow Cosmetics is announcing a rebrand. So they did a sale in March, and I don't know what the rebrand is going to be like, but I just thought I could share that Gimme Glow is going to be rebranding into something slightly differently. There is a new Pillow Talk collection from Charlotte Tilbury with lipsticks and these duo blushes. Part of me tells me that I already talked about this in the past, but Charlotte Tilbury is one of those brands that will drop like news or announcements really early, and then like closer to the launch you get a lot more information about it. So this looks really pretty from like a packaging standpoint. It's heart-shaped, which of course is part of the appeal here. But I've said this many times, I've kind of given up on Charlotte Tilbury as a brand. It's just a bit too warm tone for my liking, and I can never find the shades in the line that I feel work best for me. Pillow Talk Fair, I might still want to get at some point this year, but I'm in no rush. NYX has a collab with Minecraft because there's a new movie, of course, coming out, so that collab makes sense. This looks cute, but this is very much aimed at kids, I feel, so I'm not the target audience. Do these products look okay? I think so, but it's not something I need in my life. There's another rebrand in town, this time by Kim Kardashian. So the SKKN beauty brand that she has is going to be falling under the Skims line, and it's going to be rebranded to Skims Beauty. How many times can a person change their makeup line? Because for the past, like, what's it, like decade or so, she's done a beauty range of some sort, and it's always fallen under a different umbrella. There's a new spring collection also from Catrice, Spring Awakening. There's some lip products in there. I think there are some other bits too. I saw this actually in store, and none of the products looked like it was going to be up my street, so decided to pass up on this as well. A new limited edition collection from Kiko, the Kind by Kiko line. Whenever Kiko does this soft green packaging, it very often means that it's their more sustainable range. They also do the Green Me collection, which is also like bamboo and whatever, like more environmentally friendly. Kiko does really beautiful makeup. I'm not sure if I've listed it here, but they have also come out with new products in their regular range. And those are already on the wish list. Those I want to get at some point. But again, I'm in no rush. Maybe that comes up later. But yeah, Kiko has a new limited edition collection. Do these look beautiful? Yes. Do I need them in my life? No. Nabla has come out with something new. And that's something that I didn't think I was going to say, because I feel I haven't heard any Nabla news in such a long time. So Nabla has come out with a like eyeshadow stick kind of thing. Yeah, so there are some new eyeshadow sticks, and there's a limited edition eyeshadow palette. These are some products that Nabla does really, really well. I have plenty of Nabla eyeshadows, and I also tried some of their eyeshadow sticks in the past. They are lovely, lovely quality. They just do some really good things. But I don't necessarily need this in my life. Milk Makeup has extended their jelly range, but the products that are in them are products they already did. So Milk Makeup used to do little sticks, and they were like cooling sticks and whatever. And they've now come out with those products, but in their jelly format. So very similar to those jelly blushes. I think that will work for the brand. I think a lot of people will love these. I think I tried the cooling stick at the time, and it wasn't really for me. It just very mentally, and it didn't really do anything to cool you down. So these are things that are coming to Monolith in that new drop in April. It's from Cryptine Cosmetics, and it's the Secret Garden 1 and 2. I think these palettes have been out for a little while already, but just so you know that they are dropping on Monolith. They look pretty. I don't necessarily need those in my life though, so they're not the first picks I would want to go for. Then another brand I haven't heard from in a while is Divina, and Divina has some really nice murky dark shades. It's called the Crowned in Shadows. Like the branding on this is so on point. I have to give them props for that. And the shades look absolutely beautiful. They are 5, they call them Regal Gothic Infused shades. That gets my heart aflutter if you sell something like that to me. So there is a steel gray, a green shimmer, there's a shifting shades, a coppery shade, and a green with a red undertone. So there are indeed some like shifting shades, but there's also some things that are true metallics. Divina can do some really good singles. I have a few of those in my singles makeup collection, and they are really good. It's just because they are based in the US, they can be a little bit expensive for me to buy. So no longer super committed to the brand because of that reason, but I have tried them, and they do some wonderful things. So if you want to check out Divina, then I would highly recommend. There is a new bronzer balm from Benefit. They've rebranded their Hoola bronzer into like a bronzer balm. So it's a cream bronzer from Benefit. That's the way I see it. Hoola was never, ever a good shade for me. Tried Hoola Light as well. Decolored it because it was too yellow. So I'm not entirely sure how this would go down for me personally. Again, Benefit is not a brand that's like top of mind for me right now. And you can tell we're going into like summer seasons because Haus Labs is also bringing back a bronzer. I think they did this in the past and now they've like reformulated or something. It's the Powder Sculpt Velvet Bronzer from Haus Labs. This comes in like 8 shades or something like that. I have a bunch of Haus Labs products already. These look nice. But what I want them to do is to release a bronzer version of the blush stick. I would be more inclined picking that up than I am to pick up this powder bronzer. The powder products from Haus Labs, like I've swatched them in store and they are beautiful, but I can't really find the shades I want in those. Sephora has a new blush collection, so it's a cream and powder palette. Very sort of Patrick Ta-esque, I feel. I think there are 4 shades, and these look beautiful. Sephora collection, again, does some really beautiful things as well. Not necessarily something that I need in my life. Ooh, and they even have more things. The next picture is actually more things in this new Sephora range. And then I look at those. Are those lip oils? Or blushes as well? I think it's all blush, but at the top left part of the picture, you see those little domes. It reminds me a lot of a Lancome product that was out a couple of years ago. I think those were like the juicy shaker things that Lisa Eldridge did when she was creative director over at Lancome. That applicator reminds me of those lip products that Lancome did. Glamlight has a collab with Breaking Dawn. We're getting all the Twilight stuff. There's so much Twilight nostalgia around. I don't know. I don't think I need this. And when I look at the Edward palette, for instance, it's almost like they just redid the Chucky palette, which I already own. I don't think this is going to add anything into my makeup collection that I don't already have. So this feels a bit random. And I have heard people saying, like, what's going on with Glamlight? Because they're just doing very random things and they're not doing as much as they usually do. So what's going on there? I don't know. Maybe anybody else knows? I don't know. There's a new mini eyeshadow palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the mini cozy palette. And I'm like, is this ABH? Is this what we're doing now? Because that looks like a NARS palette to me. Am I the only person? I'm not so sure, but yeah, this is not for me. This is not something I'm going to be picking up on. But ABH has definitely rebranded in like the past 9 years. Ever since the Mono Renaissance boomed and boosted them into popularity, they have gone from being at the forefront of makeup innovation and what everything is about to like the safe cousin who doesn't touch anything else. At least that's how I feel. Fenty has new mascaras out. The Hella Thick Volumizing Mascara. It now comes in brown as well, so that's exciting. I hardly ever buy high-end mascara. I just buy them at the drugstore because they're going to dry out anyways, so this is not for me. And Fenty has a new cherry collection. I think it's mainly cherry scented, but it also seems to be a little bit inspired by the shade. There is a lip care duo, there is a hot cheeks, and there is another lip set. So it's mainly like lip and cheek products, which I didn't really need. If I'm going to buying anything in like the cherry trend that we have, it's going to be some of the Glossier things that were launched. The Glossier Cloud Paint in the black cherry shade, that is one that's potentially, like if I can find that in London, I might pick it up, but I'm not entirely sure yet. There's a new IT Cosmetics concealer. This is the Do It All Radiant Concealer, which I don't know why, but this made me really happy to see that, because IT Cosmetics is another brand that doesn't do a whole lot of like new stuff. So it's good to see something new from them. I just don't, I don't like doe foots like this on concealers. Like the little thing where it like squeezes through the little, it always gives me the ick. I don't like applicators like this. So that's the only reason why I probably won't be buying this. I find it really wasteful in terms of product, because a lot of the product ends up in the sponge and it just dries up and you can't use it, which makes no sense. Then there's a new Valentino thing here. It's the High-End Light Cushion Powder. Why should powders come in a cushion? I don't, like, maybe it's just because it comes with a pad, I don't know. It's an Asia only launch for now, from what I can tell. And yeah, it's a powder in a compact, which doesn't really seem that revolutionary, unless it's like a powder foundation combined with a cushion. Like, I'm not really sure what to think of this product. The packaging is beautiful. I like the pink. So if we're getting Wonder Woman from Catrice, and it makes sense we get Superman from Essence. And I don't know what it has to do with Superman, because one of the palettes that they're unwrapping in this video is essentially a cool tone palette. Why? Why? I don't really get it. It looks beautiful in the swatches that they're doing here, but it's not like, no. Just, I already told you why I don't do limited edition Essence and Catrice stuff anymore, and this is why. There's a skin tint from Lancome. This looks okay. Again, Lancome is just not top of mind when it comes to like a luxury makeup brand for me. They are a little bit more difficult to find here, I find, but yeah, this looks okay. I feel like they're just one of those really solid brands that doesn't do super exciting things, but when you try something from them, that like whatever I've tried from Lancome has always been good. So I've never been disappointed with any of mine. So next up is a bronzer release from Givenchy. It's the Prisme Libre bronzer. Comes in 3 shades. One of them looks very red toned, so I'm not entirely sure this is going to be right for me. I do think Givenchy is a very solid brand. I mean, again, I've tried maybe 1 or 2 products from them in the past and liked it enough, but not something I need in my life for sure. I told you there was going to be more moon dust because Urban Decay is coming out with the Ice Out Moon Dust palette. This only makes sense from them, but this looks so similar to the Moon Dust palette that they used to do like a decade ago. It doesn't have the interesting shades because that also came with like a green and a blue. This only has very safe shades, but it works. I would be interested in this. Like this has some really good shades in. And to be quite fair, I still need to buy one of those shadows because ever since everybody's been raving about those like space cowboy like kind of shades, I used to have shades like it in one of the palettes I used to own from Urban Decay. I think it was called like the vegan or the sustainable palette. I always forget the name of it. But it had a lot of these like traditionally sparkly shades that Urban Decay used to do. So part of me wishes I had kept that palette because it would have been so on point for where makeup trends are going right now. Victoria Beckham has new brushes. They have extended the range that Victoria Beckham now does with a brush collection. Makes sense for the brand. This was something they weren't doing. And for how expensive the makeup of this brand is, I feel like the brushes are quite reasonably priced. I mean, still, it's a lot of money, but for instance, a detailed lip brush is $32, and a buff and smudge brush is $42, soft blend brush is $42. The most expensive thing is a sculpt and blend brush, which is $62. But if you know that a single Victoria Beckham lipstick is already like $42, for brush, like usually brushes are like the most expensive thing a brand will sell, and this is definitely not the most expensive thing that Victoria Beckham sells, I feel. So quite reasonable. Do I need it? No, I have plenty of brushes in my life. Don't need it. Then there are some new liquid shadows from REM Beauty, but I'm a bit confused because I think it's just a shade extension because I feel they used to already do this, but now they've just added more shades. At least that's how I feel. I wish they would relaunch Affirmation. I just wish they did. I have one of the cream or liquid shadows that came in the pot that REM Beauty did. It's a beautiful shade, but the formula is very prone to drying out, and that's why I think they discontinued it. But I still love mine, and I sort of want to hang on to that thing so I can swatch it against other things because it's so incredibly beautiful. But the shade isn't here. So if they do that liquid, but then in the shade Affirmation that they used to do in the little pots, I would snatch it up in a heartbeat. But not these. These aren't interesting to me. Talking about shade ranges, I think there are some new shades in the Luminous Silk Cheek Tint from Giorgio Armani. I've never tried these blushes, but I've heard great things about them. They also sell out quite quickly, I think. And there seemed to be a like lighter pink shade here, but it's like 2 light shades that have a cooler undertone in a sea of warmth. And then I think what they've especially been doing is that there are now like mattes and shimmers in every single shade. So I think that that's the main addition here, is that it's got a little bit more shine to it. Do I need this in my life? Not exactly. I've got plenty of blush. This is brand new from e.l.f. It dropped just the other day, so we're getting closer to the actual like release dates of when this video is going up. This is the Glow Reviver Melting Lip Balm from e.l.f. I don't have anything safe for this promo picture. It seems to come in 6 shades. It's $9, and it launched on the e.l.f. app first, so Not sure when it's coming to Europe. It doesn't really say anything about that. It should come to the UK in April, later this year, and it's coming to Mexico in the summer of 2025. Oh, and also here in the Netherlands, it does say like worldwide, like internationally, Douglas and Ethos, which is available over here, it comes summer 2025. So it's going to be a couple of months before I could ever purchase this. But I think it's just a lip balm, so I don't need it in my life. I have plenty of tinted lip balms. And this I just wanted to mention because it's Miffy. It's by the Cream Shop, which, are they K-Beauty? I don't know if they are. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but they're doing a Miffy collab. I don't know anything about this other than it's a whole collection. Do I need it? No, but it's Miffy, and Miffy is Dutch, so had to mention it. And then this will be the final mention of this video, and this is launching on April 7th with the brand, but it's already coming to Monolith on that April 13th drop that I told you about at the start of the video. So we're coming full circle with this. This is the Green Goddess eyeshadow palette from Bella Beauty Bar. And this is the other thing that made me go like, double take, do I want this? I don't think I need it. That's the one thing. It's essentially like a green palette with really nice reflective shimmer quality. But we all know now that I have fallen low-key in love with what Bella Beauty Bar does. Love the Poison Garden palette that I tried last fall. I tried the Realm of Fairies last month. It was my favorite palette I used all month. So part of me knows that if I were to buy this, I would love this palette from a quality standpoint. But if I look at the shades, I'm like, I think I have those greens already from Fantasy Cosmetica. So if I put some of my Fantasy Cosmetica palettes together, the only thing I won't really have is those peachy orange things. Like that row I probably won't have. But I think I have everything else. Maybe not the exact shift or the exact shade, but that's why I'm like, I'm going to put it on the wish list, and like with the Gloss Gods palettes, I'm just going to wait and see how I feel about this further down the line. Or, of course, if Monolith offers it to me, like sometimes before the launch, they will like send out an email like, hey, would you like to receive some PR? If this is part of the things that I can select, if they do choose to send me PR, I don't know. But if that's the case, this is definitely one of the things that if it becomes available to me, I would say yes to. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that one. It's going to go onto the wish list, and if I need to purchase it myself, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to happen anytime soon. That's just the way I feel about it. I need to cool down and just let my makeup collection as it stands now, it's been decluttered, like just have a cool down period. I still need to sort through the entire pile. I always do this, and I think I actually want to film that for you guys, because I did do that on my second channel with a lot of my decluttered clothes. Like this is, I do this for clothes, I do this for makeup as well. I declutter things, I put everything in a box or in a trash bag, stick it somewhere where I don't look at it, and then a few months later, I'll come back to things and truly decide, is this what I want to get rid of, yes or no? Because very often when I declutter, I sort of get caught up in the moment of the declutter, and I'll get rid of things in the moment that don't make sense to be getting rid of. Because I actually had this, I have this more so with clothes than I do with makeup. But especially with clothes, like a couple years ago, I was like on this, like, I want to only have natural fabrics in my, like natural fiber fabrics in my wardrobe. So I decluttered a lot of my polyester blouses, only to find myself starting to look for things I had decluttered online, but then in a cotton or a linen. And I was like, but I have something that's perfectly fine that's sitting in a trash bag in my shed. It's absolutely ridiculous if I were to go and spend money on something I already owned, which is still perfectly fine because there were no holes, no nothing. So I actually ended up pulling out a lot of the things I had decluttered, and instead of like trying to replace it, like getting rid of it and then trying to find a replacement, I now sort of go through it as in like if I stumble across something, I will just declutter that one item and put the new thing back in. But up until those items break or fall apart, I'm not going to be in too much of a rush to try and repurchase those things. And I kind of have gotten to a point like that with makeup as well. So if I'm about to get rid of something and I feel like it would cause a hole in my makeup collection, or I would start missing that product profusely, even if I don't use it much, like it's also like a mental thing almost. Like if it makes me seek out a product that looks similar and it's gonna make me spend money again, it would be a waste. So that's why I like to like take my distance first, and then I make little piles for like friends and family and to like gift it to people and stuff. And that means I need to go through the pile anyways. Like things I know I need to throw out, I am already put in a separate box to begin with. But like things that I can pass on to people are just right now like in one giant pile. And I just need to go through it. So let me know if that's something you would want me to film, like me going through it again. Based on having edited all the videos now, I know there isn't a whole lot that I actually want to keep. Like some years, I would do so well in the declutter, and then I would go through it and I was like, oh, I can't possibly get rid of this. But there's only like a handful of things that I feel that way now that I've actually like edited the videos and I've seen everything again. And I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily need to get rid of those things, but I'm probably going to get rid of like 95% of what I did declutter in those videos. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. I will be back with a new makeup releases video in May, so I hope you like to stay tuned for all of that goodness. And in the meantime, I have lots of other content coming your way in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be doing an Essence and Catrice update. So many good things I want to show you. So thanks so much for joining me, and then I hope to see you again very, very soon in a new video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.